Good morning, everyone. My name is Harry, and today's topic is networking basics. So, our objectives today will learn the differences between private versus public IP, subnet and VLAN, firewall and routers, what is remote access, and finally, wire and wireless. So, what is IP address? IP address is just like your home address. It has to be unique, right, to define where you at. And each device that is connected to the network, it needs to have its own unique IP address. And you can learn more about IP address by scanning this QR code. But in short, we'll have two IPv4 versus IPv6. IPv6 existed because we're currently running out of unique IPv4 addresses. And why is that? It's because we have two types of IP called private IP or public IPs. For private IPs, you can reuse the IP addresses multiple times in multiple area. So you can have two different computers sitting in two different houses or just across the street share the same IP of 10.0.0.1. Whereas for public IP, if let's say google.com has the public IP of 200.0.0.1, nobody else can have it unless google.com released it, right? And if you go on Google search right now and then type what is my IP address, the IP address that's shown on the web browser is a totally different thing than the ones you see on your computer. It's because the router already convert your private IP into its available public IP for you to access to the internet. And it does that by using what we call a NAT configuration. You can learn more about NAT as well. And NAT allows you to either configure one private with one public IP, multiple private IP assigned with multiple public IP, or multiple private IPs assigned only one public IP. And you can assign the private IP to your devices by manually type it in, or you can allow the router to do it automatically by doing DHCP. So DHCP will allow the router to choose its available private IP range and then assign it to the devices. And you can learn more about private versus public, DHCP and NAT by scanning these three QR codes. Next up is subnet and VLAN. So what's the differences? Subnet and VLAN, they share the same purpose, is to split the main network into smaller networks so you can manage and troubleshoot. But the differences is subnet you have to configure on a router. For VLAN, you configure on a switch. Subnet is limited by the physical location. So let's say in the future you want this computer in the HR subnet still sitting in this room, but is using the IP address of customer support subnet. You cannot do that. Whereas VLAN is not limited by a physical location. So you can have three different computers sitting in the same space, but they don't talk to each other because they're having three different networks. And for subnet, you separate these by using IP address. For VLAN, you separate by using a switch port. So each subnet will have its own IP address, right? But for the switch, if three devices, they can sit in the same, let's say this one is 192.168.17.1, this one will be .2, this one will be .3. They won't talk to each other because you already assigned them to be in three different networks. That's the power of VLAN. And you can learn more about subnet versus VLAN by scanning this QR code right here. But here's another thing. In order for these subnet to work with each other, to interact, and then goes out to the internet world, is you have to have one router in each subnet. And to make sure these four routers and the main one talk to each other and work fine is to do what we call a routing protocol. And you can learn more about routing information protocol by scanning this QR code. For switches, let's say you have these three different computers and already in three different VLAN. How do you make these three devices to be on the same VLAN so they can talk to each other, interact with each other, right? You have to have a router or a switch that is capable of doing what we call a VTP or VLAN trunking protocol. And you can learn more about that as well by scanning this QR code. Let's move on to our third chapter, is to differentiate between firewall and router. In short, firewall is like asking who you are, whereas router is asking where do you want to go. Router, it only forward the packets, whereas firewall is filter the packets. And also the main differences between firewall and router is that you can have firewall as a hardware or a software. Router is a hardware. And that's why you can have firewall on a router. That's why we have router with firewall capability built in. And you can have firewall installed in multiple areas. It's either before reach to the public network, or you can have a software firewall installed on your computer. But the software firewall only protect that devices, whereas a hardware firewall, it protects the whole network. And you can have two types of firewall that is called stateful or stateless. And you can learn it as a concept by scanning its QR code. This YouTuber is called Learn Cantrell. And you can learn how to configure one in real life by going to InfoSec by scanning its QR code as well. Fourth chapter is about remote access. Remote access allows you to remotely control a different device from a different region, area, different location. And your device doesn't need to be powerful because you're already controlling the more powerful device. But the drawback is that it depends on the internet speed, and it can be easy to attack if you're not careful. And I can discuss this later on. You can learn more about remote access as well by scanning the QR code. So one more key thing to make sure that you don't get attacked easily when using remote access is doing what we call a virtual private network, or VPN for short. So VPN, it will make sure the data that you send between your computer and the server privately and secure. But the speed, it will depends on how complicated the encryption is. So the more complicated the encryption, the more slower the internet speed will be for you. But another drawback is that it can be easily to attack if you use the wrong VPN. So if you use a untrustworthy VPN server, they might leak your data to a data brokers. So we have some common remote access tool. For businesses, we use either on Windows 10 or 11 Pro edition is remote desktop. For another version, we do a app, it's called TeamViewer. So why I said remote access is dangerous is because let's say a person calls you and then said that they want to access to your computer remotely to fix something. So they use TeamViewer. But here's the thing. So they full control of your computer from their house, which means it's not good. If the person is not untrustworthy, they can do literally anything with your computer. Only when you unplug the computer, then they can't do anything. But that's the thing that you need to keep in mind. We also have a third one. It's called Parsec. It's PARSEC. Usually this is for gaming. You can remotely access to your powerful desktop PC at home to play some games. Alright, we already reached the final chapter. The differences between wire and wireless. So for wire, we have three types of wire: fiber optic, cable, and finally digital subscriber line, or we call a phone line. Fiber optic is the fastest one. It uses light to transmit data. The range can reach up to 25 gigabit per second, so it's really fast. That's why if you have a fiber internet at home, if you go on to web browser and then type what is my internet speed, both your upload and download speed will be the same. How about cable? Cable is like the OG, like the old version or like standard internet. It used the copper as a core cable, and it used electricity to transmit data. So you'll see it a lot around your house because they used to use this as a cable for the TV as well. Next up is the phone cable. So it used electricity to transmit, but the range is really low. It only transfer up to 30 megabit per second. But the drawback is that the further from your house to the ISP, the weaker the signal will be. And do not mistake this phone cable with an Ethernet cable. Ethernet cable has 8 pins, whereas phone cable only has 4 pins. So please remember that. Finally is wireless. We have multiple types of wireless signal. Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, RFID, NFC, satellite, fixed wireless internet, and cellular radio. So for Wi-Fi, right now we currently have Wi-Fi 6 or Wi-Fi 7. Usually we commonly is Wi-Fi 6. Wi-Fi 7, it can upload the data up to 46 gigabit per second. Whereas Wi-Fi 6, it will be around 15, which is already enough for your devices. Bluetooth, RFID, and NFC, you can learn more by scanning this QR code. We also have satellite signal. This is really good for the area you cannot reach. Wi-Fi, Bluetooth is only in short range. So these three signals is for short range. Wi-Fi is long range, but it's not that long. It only allows where the ISP can provide the Wi-Fi signal. Satellite is a long range, but the signal can be weak. You can have the fourth option is called a fixed wireless internet. So this term is a broader, a general term. Satellite belongs to this fixed wireless internet, but satellite should have its own dedicated page to talk about it. And finally, we have is called a cellular radio. So this is a signal that you see on your phone mobile. You can have 3G, 4G, or 5G. Currently, 5G is the fastest one that you can have. Alright, that is all for today. Thank you for listening, and you have a wonderful day.